Hi, this is Roslynn Eve, and we are looking again at Chris Sedgwick's work. This is his image, this one on the left, and anyone would be proud to have that painting in their home. It is very good quality work. What we're doing with the ingredients that we're talking about in this tutorial and the previous one is there are 40 ingredients in my book that artists can use to help to make their images more strong and memorable. Now, he's used many ingredients in this image that are working to help to make it exciting, and that's why it is as exciting as it is. But we're just trying to see if we can tweak it a little bit more with the other ingredients, and just using some of the ingredients he's already using just to the maximum potential of the ingredient. Like, for example, right now he's just used red, and what if we added blue? Okay, so we're going to be looking at the changes and stuff that I've been making on the right, and we did cover the volume of light to dark in the last one, but I want to get back to that and how the more large of either light or dark or anything, the more large that it gets in the image, the more it tends to become sort of neutralized or ignored, and which is neutralized because it is such a large amount. We tend to want to notice smaller portions. If it's too small, we won't notice it. If it's too big, we won't notice it. So we're looking at this as there's a lot of dark, and what happens when because this is competing for attention, because the light areas now become smaller than the dark area, we're going to want to notice any light areas more, but this is the lightest. The tablecloth is the lightest. So we're going to want to look at that the most, whereas we can see that the artist really wanted us to look at these interesting ingredients or subject matter here, and not so much the tablecloth. So let's add more volume of medium. So not light, not dark, right in the middle there. If you printed your image out in black and white, you'll see that it goes, light all the way to dark, and then we've got medium in the middle, and then we've got medium light, medium dark, and then you can, kind of graduate those all down to much finer tunings of in between, of grays, Okay, and that's just lack of color. But when we have color like red, intense, it makes you really want to look at that. So if we had some cool blue, that would be like a contrast. So that would be using another ingredient, which is contrast, to make us notice more the warmth of the red than that the cool color of blue would do that. So we went with medium, medium color here, which has downplayed the light and now makes us want to look more where we're supposed to look, right? So you see the difference over here, and then you see the difference over here, how there's the conflict and how there isn't now. Okay, so then watch when we add more to the dark volume of space here by making it even darker. So now it dramatizes our area of interest even more and makes us more intensely want to notice it and look at it. So that because there's no conflict now. So let's go to the next thing that we talked in the last one about viewing windows, the size of it, and how much space your main area of interest is, and so on. There's a lot of things we covered. So now let's look at the next thing on the list here, which is, okay, so this one has too large of a main area of interest here, so it's not as, how can I say, it's not as powerful. It's neutralized as a powerful main ingredient because it's becoming too large. It becomes more like common grass background. So it's not to that point, but it is more that direction than it is towards precious and interesting. Too small of an area can become ignored too, or too small of an item. So if it's too big or too small. So look at when we have it on two cross points, or power points I like to call them. So if you put an ingredient on a PowerPoint, like let's say the strawberry, you're going to notice it a lot more if it's touching or centered on. And also you'll find that if it's just a little bit outside of that more, that it's really exciting. It adds a lot of excitement to that area of interest. So these ones aren't touching. See, they're not touching any line. And so they are much less noticed. Now you will find anything that you place on the inner box lines. So in other words, lining this up on an inner box line. See, it's interesting, but it's not as interesting if you shoved it out here and made it lined up on the cross point. And the same, or if it's right in the center, you'll find it's much more boring. And if it goes all the way out to the edge, it becomes... It's like it neutralizes it as a main area of interest. If it's large, it actually becomes very uncomfortable. You should never put a really large area of interest going off the page as a rule, but again, it's a guideline, and you know, there are exceptions, but very few exceptions. And so let's say that the more you move it out, it creates more like tension or excitement. As you're pulling out past this point here, or any of the cross points, as you're pulling an ingredient, a subject, a piece, as you're moving it out towards the edge, it hits like right in about here, and then it starts to go not as good. You know how you're eating ice cream and it's like, oh yeah, it's good, and you reach the maximum, and then all of a sudden it's too much of a good thing, is bad. Okay, well, it's like that, right? So as you're pulling it out, you'll find that it just becomes not good anymore, and you lose the containment ingredient, because this is the ingredient of containment, how well things are contained within your image. So this is well contained because it's in from the edge. As you can see, it's slightly big for a main area of interest, but not really. It wouldn't be, especially if it was like a face, a Rembrandt face, you know, that we're taking up in the image, and you know, proportionally and everything. But because it's going across and some two cross points, that's why I'm saying it's just a touch maybe on the big side, but it's good, very good. Okay, so then when we look here at the berry, like I said, it's on the line and the cross point, so it makes it a stronger area of interest. This is on a line, so this becomes sort of like a mass because of the red. It kind of, and this shape kind of becomes a triangle. This becomes a triangle shape. And if we had another berry or something, I don't know, maybe I should have put another berry in there to make, so then this would be a little bit more of a triangle area as well. And that creates a lot more excitement. It also tells you where to look, because this is the main area of interest due to size. This is the secondary due to size, and the third due to size. But notice again, because it's so small, it becomes, it's demanding very minimal attention. Commanding very minimal attention and demanding. Okay, so in conclusion, I also want to go back to the if Chris can't change the size, or he doesn't want to repaint the image. So doing the things that I did to this other image, I just downsized what Chris did there, moved it over to the right so it's more on the third line there, to make it a stronger point of interest and to make it more appropriate size to the space. Now keep in mind that when you look at Rembrandt's, some of his best work, there is a lot of dark space that he has and very little light space. So even at this size and proportion, we're still going a lot bigger in terms of light space in this image than some of Rembrandt's work. Okay, so But like I said, Chris tends to like to do more light and less dark. So you can reverse this for a reverse Rembrandt sort of image. Okay, so I hope you guys found this tutorial interesting and informative. And we're going to bring up Chris's spelling of his name again. This is where you can find Chris. And thank you again, Chris, for allowing us to use the image for the tutorial. And this is me. You can find me on my Facebook page. I do have my price list there too if you want your own private mini analysis to improve the strength of your images, then you can find it there. I do have my email address here. Also, you can buy my book through Amazon, or I can actually download you a copy through email, which I thought was pretty cool. And if you want me to mail you my book on a USB drive, those prices are on this Facebook page as well. Okay, so thank you. Hit that subscribe, and we'll see you again soon for more interesting images and information. Okay, thank you. Bye for now.